Hi, it's the Lipstick Gal. Thank you so much for watching. I wanted to do something that I've never done before, which is to try makeup on, half one side, half the other, and see if some of my favorite long-term loves have an equivalent in some more recent drugstore purchases so that you can make a decision where to spend your dollars. I don't have something for every single category, but I do have like all my drugstore, all my high-end, and I want to see if they really are equivalent. There's quite a few brow products, there's a couple of powders, there's a lot of lip products, and these are just the ones that I thought of right off the top of my head. So let's jump in. I am going to start with a primer. I think this is kind of the most obvious one. Everybody talks about it. The difference of the Tatcha Silk Canvas and the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer. I've never tried them on side by side. So we're gonna do high end on this side, and I'm gonna start over here. I need to remind myself to use less than normal. And the e.l.f. Poreless Putty Primer on the other side. It has texturally, I feel like the Tatcha is just a little bit softer. And I feel like they're very similar in color and appearance. And I feel that they pick up the same way. I feel like the pores on the high-end side, the Tatcha side, are just a little bit better concealed. I did press, stuff into both sides, and I feel like my pores are just a hair more visible. I have two of the same brushes. I'm gonna use these for setting my under eye, and these are the only two brushes that I have that are exactly alike. I'm gonna use these guys for the other powder that I have, but let's jump straight into powder. I, for years, have been absolutely in love with the Charlotte Tilbury Airbrush Flawless Finish Powder. I've gone through multiple compacts of this, and this has been one of my favorite powders for setting my under eye. I have used it so much. So today, I'm just gonna use one of these little guys here, pick up some powder, I don't want too much, make sure that I'm all tapped out, and just set under my eye. I feel like this is a really beautiful powder for all over the face because it is $45. Oh. I've always been hoping that there would be a really good option at the drugstore. I've heard really good things about the Flower Beauties at their Light Illusion pressed powder, but that's a good dupe. But the one that I've heard the most about is from number 7. This is their Lift and Illuminate Triple Action Finishing Powder. This is the shade Light. The one thing that is not the same about these two guys is the shade. I feel, well, maybe they are. I feel like this one is just a hair lighter, a hair lighter. This is the lightest shade that Charlotte Tilbury makes. What happens? I think I'm gonna take this down the nose. I wanna see what it looks like over the tops of my pores, like right in here too. I feel like my trouble areas are like the larger pore area. I have here dryness under my eye, and my crow's feet, the older I get, I don't have a problem with that, the more they show powder, and when I smile it looks really powdery in this area. And I like powder that is almost undetectable. So back to my other brush, and we'll put this powder in the same place. I have the same foundation and the same concealer on both sides because my goal was to find out how the powder works. So here's what I can tell you. This powder over the top of this, they look nearly identical. I feel like I'm a little bit less dry on the number 7 side, just a hair. I almost feel like it's just a hair brighter, and it could be because it's just like a half step lighter, the powder itself. Let's just do a real quick little finger swatch. This is number 7. This is Charlotte Tilbury. I feel like this is a little bit brighter. This is a little bit more warm in tone, and that might be where the brightness comes from. The quality of how it lays underneath my eyes, across the tops of my pores, and on my crow's feet is almost exactly the same. The next one is kind of exciting to me. One of my favorite powders is the Hourglass Veil Setting Powder, and when I first started trying e.l.f. in September last year, I came across their Halo Glow Setting Powder and was like, ooh, and it instantly reminded, that kind of reminds me of the Hourglass. So let's see. So for the rest of my face, I'm just gonna take some of this Hourglass one and go over the rest of my face. The one thing that I love about this powder so much is the fact that It has a subtle glow to it, and it still keeps my skin looking like skin, and it still ends up not looking too powdery. That's my favorite thing about it. But for the last several months, even though this is like within easy reach, I really have been reaching for the e.l.f. Let's put on some e.l.f. In looking at this, I don't see a single difference at all. I feel like I have a nice, this is the Hourglass side, I feel like I have a nice overall glow, and I feel like my skin doesn't look any drier, any more flat. It does have that kind of subtle skin quality to it that I like so much from the Highend. Did I just convince myself that I only need to pay $8 for a good face powder? I like this one a lot. Time to try some brow products. So from NYX, this is the Lift and Snatch Brow Tint Pen, and I have the Anastasia Brow Pen. I haven't tried them side by side. I don't know that I love this one as much, but I wanted to see, can I get a similar look with this brow product? So I'm gonna start with the NYX. And it's also weird, I don't know that this is terribly fair because this eyebrow has more hair in the last half of it than this one does, but let's see how they do. And the goal with these guys is just to draw in really lightly, like the lightest touches possible. I'm gonna use a fiber brow gel on top, but that was super easy. All right, Anastasia Brow Pen. And this is the one where I feel like it's a little bit harder because I need more hair on this side. I think that's pretty close. The one thing I will tell you, if I had to choose a favorite, I would take the Anastasia over the one from NYX because I feel like this one is a little bit easier if I spoolie through. When I spoolie through the NYX one, if you don't need to spoolie that much, you just want to place a few hairs and go, I think you're good. I feel like this one actually blends. I don't know that it was intended to, but I can always get it to blend and look more natural. This one ends up leaving me gaps and I have to go over it again. This one actually I can spoolie, and I didn't want to like give myself like a little Sharpie brow. This one is medium brown from Anastasia and I have ash brown from NYX, but I feel like they're very similar tones. I don't feel like I have two completely different brows going on. So I have not stopped talking about the e.l.f. Wow Brow. It's a beautiful tinted fiber gel from the drugstore, and I always back comb to lay fibers down. And then I just go through and kind of brush them exactly how and where I want them. One of my favorites is from Hourglass. This is their Arch Brow Volumizing Fiber Gel. The brush is different. This one actually has like longer bristles on one side, shorter on the other. And it's not exactly the same, but I feel like the formula is similar. The brush might be different, so I'm just gonna back comb on this side. I have a love-hate relationship with this brush. Longer bristles on one side, shorter on the other. The longer bristles I feel like are really good for brushing through the brows without depositing too much pigment. The shorter bristles you definitely get more pigment like instantly, but my brows are sparse enough that I have to be really careful using the other side. Now, if I don't put any other product down first and I'm just using this, I will lay a thick coat with the short bristle side, but I feel like the benefit of this is you get that tint, you get the fibers that give you the look of more hairs. Let me know if you have a preference. Did you feel like one brow product was more successful than the other? I feel like these are really neck and neck. And the difference is that one spoolie is better between the two pens. I feel like the Anastasia one spoolie is better and blends better. And I feel like the brush on the Hourglass one gives you a little bit more diversity in how you want to place your product on, but I feel like they do the same thing and they're both really, really good. And I would be willing to give up some of that diversity in brush for a $5 brow product. Is it $4 or $5? The one from Hourglass is in the 20s. I could keep myself a whole year in brow tint with this as opposed to one of the other. The next thing that came to mind were these two mascara primers. I have loved and lived in the Lancome Seals Booster for decades. Love this so much. But somebody recently mentioned that the L'Oreal Voluminous Mascara Primer was so good. So I had to try it out because this is like mid-20s. I don't know why I'm paying $25, $26 for a mascara primer. And this one was under 10 at the drugstore. Now, the one thing I will say is that L'Oreal is the parent company for Lancome. Now that that's said, let's throw on a little mascara primer. I'm gonna start with the L'Oreal. This has that really traditional Christmas tree shaped, cone shaped applicator. I like that it's more of that old style mascara wand where it's not rubber bristles. I have a hard time with those. In general, I am not skilled in the rubber bristle mascara department. I mean, I can make it work, but it's not my favorite. But I love that this just kind of makes my lashes just a little bit extra. And I'm gonna wear the same mascara on both sides just so we can see what it looks like. Oh, I almost put it on the other side. Oh, that's not what we're doing today. All right, Lancome on the other side. I don't notice a lot of difference between the two of these, but I think it might become more apparent when we put mascara over the top. So I'm going to just use my Mr. Big from Lancome. This is my favorite mascara. I am trying out the new Lancome Idol, but because that one has a rubber bristle on it, I told you, that's not my forte. I'm gonna try and use something that I know what to expect, and I'll be able to see any differences that are out of the ordinary. I feel like I get just a little bit more upward lift on the Lancome primer side. Is it just me? Is it all in my head that's so similar? I feel like I have a ton of volume on both sides. I don't feel like volume is missing. I don't feel like one side is significantly longer than the other. I feel like this side, they're just a slightly more lifted, like in this general direction. I feel like I see more of the tips kind of going up. Maybe it holds the curl better. I don't know. All I have left for you are lip products. I mentioned these guys recently I bought a whole bunch of lip sets at Sephora. This is the e.l.f. Sheer Lip Slick in the shade Black Cherry, and this is the Almost Lipstick from Clinique in Black Honey. I love both of these, and let's just only do half the lips here. 2 swipes. So that's the e.l.f. I'm gonna do 2 swipes on the other side of the Clinique. I feel like you get just a hair more pigment in the application. I'm sure that if I do like a 3rd layer, now you really can't tell at all. I feel like that extra layer gives you, I feel like this Clinique Almost Lipstick might be just a little sheerer than the e.l.f. one with 1 swipe, but if you don't want to have to keep rubbing it over your lips, I feel like they're the same. I feel like you get the same level of shine. I really love this $5 e.l.f. product. And this is the shade that I love, and they're so exactly the same. If I had to go back and buy another one, this Clinique, and this isn't in their traditional silver packaging, but this is just nothing but nostalgia for me because I wore this lipstick all through college and after for like almost 2 decades. I love this lipstick. I wore other ones, but that was like my most used and my most repurchased. This would be the one, if I'm thinking about my bank account, that I would buy and I would recommend because it feels the same, it wears the same, it looks the same. On the lips, it's the same. You know where I'm going, right? I've heard so many people say that these Maybelline lifter glosses are identical to the Fenty Gloss Bomb. I don't think the formula is the same. I think the giant doe foot applicator is the same. These shades are not going to be identical because they're not the same. This shade here is called Reef. It's a really pretty lip gloss. The problem I have with this, and I don't care for it as much, is that it collects and strings and pulls in the corner of my lips. I don't like that. All right, so this is Fussy from Fenty, and it's hard to not just like put this all over. Here's what I'll tell you. I feel like the formula is just a hair thinner on the Maybelline side, and maybe a little bit thicker, and it could be that there was more on the applicator for the Fenty. I'm surprised at how similar these look, even though the color isn't the same in the tube, but they're both really pretty. The problem I have is this one's already doing it, or it's collecting like right here. And then the more it collects, the more it kind of strings and pulls, and that's why I don't love this. I'm sure I could find a way to apply the very sheerest of sheer layers where I wouldn't have this situation going on. But I like that I don't have to be careful and precious with how I apply this, and it doesn't ever do that to me. So for me, They're similar, yes. I like the way this one smells. I like the way this one, the packaging is beautiful. I like everything about it except for the formula. I feel like the dollars are worth it here, but if you can be a little bit more persnickety in your application, maybe this is the way you want to go. I know so many people love these, and it's that small formula flaw that makes me I'm not a true believer when it comes to those lip glosses from Maybelline, but I really love the Fenty one, oh so much. So the last lipstick I wanted to try on and see how similar they are, the colors won't be exact, are these two. One is the YSL Rouge Volupté Shine. I have had a love affair with this formula for years. And when I discovered in spring of 2020 that the Revlon Super Lustrous Glass Shine lipsticks were almost exactly the same, my heart. All right, so this here is shade 44. I don't remember what the name is for this because they don't, I guess high-end lipsticks feel like, we'll just put a number down there, and if you want to know the name, you can find that online. But I'll put this on this side. It's so comfortable. It's so comfortable. It's super shiny. And this is the Glass Shine from Revlon. This is the shade Nude Illuminator. So you can see this one's a little bit deeper in tone. But if you're looking at the shine, I don't feel like one side is shinier than the other. As I'm pressing my lips together, they both have a really delicious plush feel to them. Not sticky, pillowy, not goopy. I have used this shade and like I have 3 others of these. I love this formula. It's $38. Now this is under 10. I've seen it for like $9.99, $10.99. I've seen it for $7.99, depending on where you purchase it or if you can get it when it's on sale. But I feel like the formula is so close, so close. And the idea of being able to get almost 4 of these for the price of 1 of these, it's almost criminal, right? The one thing that I do love is that they all have like the shade of the lipstick like right here in the center of the packaging, so you can see kind of, you know, the way that they run. That's helpful. The packaging is heavy, it's weighty, it's very luxe, it's super pretty. Like pulling this out of your purse, like in the before times, people would be like, oh, what is that? It's so pretty. And since it's kind of a lighter, sheer, hydrating, my lips always look healthy. I think these are genius. It feels similar. It wears similar. You have the same about 3.5 hours away before you need to add another layer. I don't know that this is like straight up dupes, but I like that I have 2 separate products on 2 halves of my face. Not everything, but I don't really think you can tell. There's so many beautiful things here. You don't have to pay a lot. And I feel like the drugstore is coming for high end. Like they are coming for them like hard, like right on their heels. Like, well, I'm gonna catch up and we're gonna do better than you, because some of these products, I don't know that I'll ever buy the Hourglass powder again because this one is just so beautiful. Let me know if you have any favorites that you used to pay a lot for, but then you found really good stuff that was exactly the same at the drugstore. Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being subscribed. Have an amazing day, and I will see you again soon.